said for years, if you're in the elevator with the CFO and you got 30 seconds, you're not going to talk about a lot of techno, speed and feed and mumbo jumbo. It's all around the revenue, it's the expense, it's the profitability, it's maybe compliance, kind of those things that a CFO is going to care about. And to your point, in this economy, CFO is going to have 5 or 10 or 20 different proposals, maybe from all different departments, and these got a certain amount of incremental dollars, and whatever the ones that kind of can justify that shorter term ROI that you can buy into, that's the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, just think about it from a different, like you say, let's hit on that. You're a sales rep, and maybe your solution is naturally oriented to a business application sale. Let's stay there for a minute. Even so, how many of your competitors are really talking about how usage, how a customer can use your solution, what the business impact would be? You, right out of the gate, are differentiating yourself from other folks. How do other customers get improvement in their business? Great selling focus. And if they're not interested in that kind of improvement, fast fail. That's the wrong customer, right?
Yeah.
But maybe your solution isn't a business application sale. Let's say back in the day when I was at Cisco and you're selling network infrastructure, you need to peer up the use case to think behind what's the business case for why they would invest. And even if you're selling infrastructure, if you have a business focus around metrics of improvement on why do you buy the solution, you're way differentiated from everybody else.
Yeah. Totally. So now going back on your kind of value one points, it's obviously very valuable for sales, but then what about some of the other go-to-market teams?
Yeah, man, this is why I really focused on it. So at Evisort, we had it's AI for contracts, and you could absolutely get into a business metric improvement conversation. But in SaaS, the thing I learned the hard way back in the day at Cloud Passage was you can't be selling like technology sales. Technology sales is I'm gonna crush the new logo sale. I'm gonna have a partner implement, and I'm casually interested in how the adoption goes, especially around renewal time. That don't work in SaaS. You have to be focused on adoption. So let's take that value one idea. You sell on value one, you're having that conversation. You, in Salesforce, we would not allow somebody to close one deal unless they had the value one metric of improvement, the current state and the desired state in Salesforce for the handoff for customer success. Now your services, your customer success teams, they know what to implement on. What does it mean to be adopted? Is it more users? Is it more usage? Not necessarily. But so that value one idea is a great way to, staple yourself to a prospect and run it all the way through the customer. That value one thread, it helps clarify the sales opportunity. It helps the services team get adoption. What about training? Don't train them on anything other than using that use case that gets their value one done. And then CS, once you have worked with a customer to implement value one, the company has earned the right to talk about expansion. Now that we know that this was a good return on investment, can we talk about other use cases that customers have? So it's a great discipline all the way around. And then marketing, instead of talking about waving the hands and architectures and things, think about case studies that focus on value one improvement. It's a virtuous process if you focus on value one. And it's a great way to have the football passed between groups within a go-to-market.
Yeah. So here's one for you. So the sales rep, it may not be in the core ICP. Sales rep says, wow, it could be a monster deal, blah, blah, blah. How do you, like in the old days, I would do things which would be, green, yellow, red in terms of kind of, opportunity and kind of that ICP. How have you seen it done successfully to really tell the reps and have them tell them where to focus, but then any tricks to kind of be obvious around here's where not to focus? Because a lot of times common sense doesn't prevail because they get all excited about a potential big deal.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, this is where the rubber hits the road. When you get a lead, and every rep loves a lead, do you say no? like the classic one is I'm advising CEOs all the time on this one, where you've got all the prospects in the world in the United States, and yet you're taking inbound leads from Europe or Asia. Why would you do that? Hey, I can't meet with you because I got to get on a plane to go to Russia. We've got this sales opportunity there. Like, how many prospects are you passing by on the way to the airport?
Yeah.
So, what do you do? This is the test. What do you do when you get an inbound lead from L'Oreal in France? Do you take that lead? Well, do you know if you're a SaaS platform, you actually can't serve that customer from the US because of GDPR requirements. So that's a huge cost to the company to support that customer if you're going to support it in country. And they probably don't want their data moving back and forth across. So that's an example. Another one would be, you want to create processes that scale for sales. So in their Salesforce book, do they have accounts that are not in your ICP? Why? Why wouldn't they just have accounts that are in the ICP? Go take a look at SDRs. Are they having outreach, or Gong's latest tool, customers that are not in your ICP? How about events or marketing leads? What I would do is look at leads that are in ICP, and the ones that aren't in ICP, why? You have a cost to serve that prospect. You have limited resources. So these are ways to test if you're really executing in our ICP. And what's your pipeline look like? Early and late stage, and to ICP and outside of ICP. Why should you have any pipeline that is outside of your ICP? Just think about product. If you're putting all the wood behind the arrow of what the company believes is the right ICP, the product feedback you're going to get is right for product to keep a roadmap that's tuned to your company direction.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So whose job is it to police the right accounts in there that they're calling on, or their pipeline? Is that a sales? You think it's a sales thing? It's a marketing thing? So if you assume the reps aren't doing it, who should be in charge of supervising that?
Yeah, CRO is accountable for everything, right? So that's you can't expect what you don't inspect. So you got to periodically kind of audit. And I would get the calls from the SDR leader. Hey man, this is a hot lead. You sure we can't? No. And it's a conversation with you got to be online and site with your marketing team. CEO's got to be aligned on this thing too, and see through that. But the other side of it is, this is why you need a good right hand. I'm left-handed, so I can say that. Is RevOps leader. The RevOps leader ought to be policing for this and systematizing ICP focus.
Yeah. And then what about the kind of the handoff with sales and marketing? Some people would say, marketing's kind of loosey-goosey, gets MQLs, the SQLs aren't kind of really where they should be, how they should be. Any kind of best practices that you've seen to make sure that marketing's also then focused in kind of what that ICP is? Yeah.
Get their fingerprints on the murder weapon. You
got to be careful what you say these days, by the way.
That's a good point. Thanks. Is really focused with marketing on the ICP. If you're a CRO, sales leader, and you're talking about ICP, the marketing person, your marketing lead should be like, oh, thank you. And if you're aligned with the marketing lead on ICP, great things happen. So it's a great teamwork opportunity to go do that, right? You got to do that. And the other trick is get everybody focused on cross-functional leading and lagging metrics. So I don't want a metric on MQLs. Who cares about MQLs? I want a metric on sales qualified opportunities. The marketing lead might hate that because it's the sales rep that's saying if it's qualified or not. But that cross-functionalism really keeps you on point. Right. Look for cross-functional metrics that ensure that everybody's on the right place. We're going to do 4 more blogs. And the last one is about sales effectiveness. And in it, I talk about what are the leading and lagging metrics, and they're cross-functional metrics. So you get the whole go-to-market point in the right direction.
Yeah, and when there's not enough leads, not enough pipeline, not enough sales, the CRO is the one, if we're staying with that theme, that gets shot, not the CMO, right?
Right.
I've never heard of a CMO getting shot because there's not enough pipeline because the revenue's not there. So
it's a big trust thing, right? Yeah. It's a big trust thing because the marketing person is like, hey, I definitely could get fired if there's not great lead flow, but it don't, it's a good book out right now called Sales Paradox, where you could be huge on all these activity metrics, but the conversion rates are suffering, right? You can't go at it anymore on tonnage.
Right. Yeah, totally. So for those maybe just joining, we've got Mark Stephenson, fantastic go-to-market leader. So anybody that wants to comment or chime in with any questions, feel free. Our current topic is ICP, but certainly he's able to speak and answer on anything else. So Mark, moving on, any other considerations as you think about trying to get that alignment with the broader go-to-market team?
Yeah, I think there's some do's and don'ts along the way. One would be is obviously a do is get very granular around your ICP. Tim's point on technographics key, right? I think I would really think deeply about the don't is don't call outside of your ICP, and it's really hard. You're going to have reps that say, "I just want the at bats." No, not the at bats on folks that you don't ultimately want to serve and have in your customer profile for a long time, right? I'd say the other one is train on value one. What a great sales approach. And John McMahon, we were talking about it today, he created it around MedPick, right? It all starts with that metric of improvement.
I'm actually doing a post later. I was with him yesterday morning and still need to do the post, but fantastic go-to-market executive leader for sure.
I think a don't in this market, in any market, is don't rely on pipeline that's outside your ICP, because it's pipeline where they don't need what you have as deeply as others, right? Less is more, ironically. Organize your... Yeah.
I was just saying, sorry. So in going through this, so a lot of these things, I'm just thinking, okay, in the environments that we've been in, things still seep through. The accounts that are not on the ICP are there. They go in the pipeline. People want to try and goose the pipeline metrics because it's got to be a 4x or 4x or 5x to 1 or kind of whatever it is. But you're really saying it's that kind of sales ops or that rev ops person or leader who's really kind of in charge of calling bullshit, for lack of better words.
That's right. That's right. At Evisort, our rev ops leader was the most trusted person in the company because they're unbiased. We wanted them to be as candid as possible about the business. You don't want fool's gold. You want to know how you're going to land the quarters, right? And so it doesn't pay to get, focused on suboptimal numbers, and for sure. You raised another point about how do you organize around, in a SaaS business, what's the best way to organize around ICP or Value One? There's a great book, ironically, called The Technology Services Playbook. And I referenced that in the post that we launched yesterday. And what he calls for is you should organize around 4 things. What's your processes and focus around land, adopt, expand, and renewal? That sounds so stupid simple. But think about your processes around that. What are the critical steps and processes to land the right customer? How do we get adoption as quickly as possible? Then you've earned the right to have cross-sell and expansion conversations. And if you do all that, the renewals are going to take care of themselves. And oh, by the way, you should be doing multi-year contracts anyway.